Hello, hello. Today I would like to show you my build for Hunter, which is aimed at newer players or at players who just want to enjoy the game without stress about some, let's say, difficult setups. It's pretty easy to use. You don't need some specific weapons, but you can use weapons all you want. Basically, this setup is aimed at slapping enemies in the face, and you don't need latest DLCs for this to run it. Now, when we get to it, if you have some questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will try to get to you as soon as I can. And yes, I would really appreciate if you would subscribe to me. I'm trying to grow up. Now, let's get to the setup. As you can see, my weapons are some. Basically, only one which I'm really using is Taipan. That's for the moments when I see some enemy which is too far away and I cannot slap him in the face. But otherwise, weapons are not required. I'm using Wastelander, which is just like cherry on top. And only reason why I'm using it is this perk, which is called 1-2 punch. This is present only on shotguns. And what it does is whenever I land all the pellets from the shot on the enemy, it will increase my melee damage, and since I'm dealing melee damage all the time, this can help me when I'm deleting bosses. Otherwise, as I said, weapons are not important. Now let's get to the stats. As you can see, my stats are messy, let's say, but only stat which I really want to focus on is resilience, because this stat lowers incoming damage on my character. 100 is maximum, which will benefit you, so I would aim at 100 at all cost, basically. All the other stats are not that important. If I have spare points, I would focus on mobility, but resilience is the most important one. The core of this whole build is this exotic armor. It's called Liar's Handshake, and what it does is whenever I hit enemy 2 times in a row, the second punch will be much stronger and it will heal me also, which is absolutely amazing. This exotic armor is worth the drop, so you can get it from Xur, from random exotic engram, or you can farm it in Lost Sector when there is arms in the rotation. Now, for the mods on this build, let's start with the helmet. On the helmet, I like to put it in the arc element, so I can put hands-on 2 times. This mod, what it does is whenever I kill enemy with my melee, it will give me small amount of my super, and I put it 2 times there because I don't need ammo finders, and this will give me slightly larger amount of my super. Also, I put Seeking Wells. This mod requires arc armor also, and what it does is whenever I create arc elemental well, or any well basically, and they will just like slide on the floor towards me, so I don't need rush to them to collect them. And yes, I have a resilience mod here. For the arms, I put melee well maker, because whenever I kill somebody with my melee, it will create arc elemental well, which will charge all of my abilities by small amount. And of course I put here resilience mod just to increase my resilience. The other 2 mod slots are empty, and that's because I don't need to utilize them right now. If I would go, let's say, into Nightfall, I would put something against champions there. For my chest armor, I'm using again my Maker. I'm using energy diffusion substrate. This mod is amazing. It gives me like moderate resistance to all elements, but it's seasonal mod, and when this season ends, it will be gone. So I would probably replace it with something like Concussive Dampener or another melee damage resistance. In the other slot, I have melee damage resistance because I will be face to face with my enemies almost all the time. And again, resilience mod. On my boots, they are, as you can see, in solar element. That's because I want to put here bountiful wells. This mod allows me to stack melee well maker mod, so I can create more wells each time I kill some enemy with my melee ability. I put here also linear fusion rifle scavenger. That's because I want to be able to shoot my heavy whenever I need it. And then I have recuperation because I will be creating quite a few orbs, and when I pick up an orb, it will heal me up. And yes, resonance mod is present here also for the class item. Again, you can see I'm using Wellmaker here, and then a resonance mod. Other slots are empty, as you can see. That's because I don't need to utilize them. I could put something like perpetuation here, but I don't need to. If I go into some nightfall, I will definitely put something like lucent finisher here. That's it for the build itself. Now just to show you my super setup. I'm using Gambler's Dodge, which allows me to recharge my melee, and that's important for me. Then I'm using triple jump, but you can use whatever you want. That's absolutely up to you. Next, I'm using combination blow. This melee is really important because, first thing, whenever you kill enemy with your charge melee, it will give you a buff which will increase your outgoing melee damage, and you can stack it up to 3 times, which is awesome. And it also works with Liar's Handshake altogether, so you will slowly increase your melee damage. Next, I'm using Pulse Grenade. Reason is that this grenade offers me some kind of crowd control. When I see that enemies are spawning far away, I will just throw this there and I will run there and finish them off. All the other grenades here aren't that useful, which is quite sad. Now for the aspects, those are really important. These two which I'm using right now are working together. First one is flow state and next one is lethal current. How it works: basically flow state, what it does, whenever I defeat jolted enemy, it's the enemy which has like electric sparks on them, it will make me amplified, and while I'm amplified my dodge recharges quickly. I'm more resilient while I'm dodging. That means whenever I perform dodge there will be like a little bubble around me which will decrease incoming damage, and I can reload my weapons much faster. Lethal current, on the other hand, does whenever I dodge, it will like charge up my melee. It increases range, which I can attack my enemies with my melee, and whenever I hit enemy, it will charge them with electricity, it will jolt them, and creates aftershock, which is arc explosion, which allows me to kill a lot of enemies with just one hit. Whenever I damage jolted enemy, that means when I attack stronger enemy who can survive my first punch, it will also blind them on my second attack. For my fragments, I'm using Spark of Resistance. This one is awesome because whenever I'm close to 2 or more enemies, it will give me damage reduction, so I will survive much better. Then I'm using Spark of Feedback. What it does is whenever I take melee damage, it will increase my outgoing melee damage, which is what I want. And it also increases passively my resilience, which is also something I really want. Next, I'm using Spark of Waltz. Whenever I kill enemy with my finisher, it makes me amplified, and it also increases my recovery. I want my recovery to be around 30 or slightly more. Reason is whenever I'm damaged and I need to recover and there are no enemies nearby, I can just take cover and wait a short time and my health will be back at full in no time. Then I'm using Spark of Amplitude. This is amazing fragment because even while I'm not using weapons, I will be creating quite a lot of orbs, and that's thanks to this fragment. Basically, whenever I'm amplified and I kill 2 or more enemies, I will create Orb of Power, which is absolutely awesome. Now, to get into how this amazing setup works. Basically, I will run towards enemies, I will use my dodge, which will give me lethal current. I will slap them, and you can see I create arc explosion. As you can see, my melee is discharged, so I will use dodge near enemies, and it will charge back my melee. As you can see, on bottom left, I'm stacking combination blow. I'm keeping my amplified up, and when I get close to enemies, you will see that I have another buff there, which is called Spark of Resistance. It's active, so all incoming damage on my character is lower. Now I will just show you why I'm using linear. You can see Shriek over there, and I cannot slap him because he's in the air, so I just shoot him like this. As you can see, this setup is really easy to use. Basically, dodge your enemies to charge up your melee, use the melee to kill the enemy, and run towards the next enemy. This setup itself is quite powerful, and honestly I was using it in Master Nightfalls. I'm not brave enough to take this into GM because, you know, in GM you receive quite a lot of damage and you cannot revive yourself there, so you want to be quite careful there. So I would use something for long range distance, but otherwise this one is really powerful. Also, I have no problem taking this into the raids. Reason is I can kill loads of enemies really fast, and also whenever I meet stronger enemy, which you will see here, you can see the witch. I will just run to her, I will slap her, and she's basically gone. That's the reason why I can take it into the raids. Against raid boss or final boss, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this one, but otherwise it's pretty powerful. Also, if you are going to solo some dungeon or wanna try in a new Spire of Watcher, I loved this setup, and yeah, I use it for my first solo creel. Because as you can see, my health is all the time full, because I'm healing thanks to Liar's Handshake and also thanks to combination blow. Now we will see how you can basically kill the boss with this. Boss usually spawns some small enemies, so I will kill a few enemies to charge up my combination blow. Let's wait for it. Come on, big boy. He's here. So, I see small enemies. That's one. That's two. That's three. Now I run towards boss. I will use dodge. I will shoot him with shotgun and immediately slap him with my fist. As you can see, boss is almost dead, and that's just 4 punches. And this is how you use this awesome setup. You don't need your super all the time, but when you need it, you can just throw it somewhere and it will deal loads of damage. By the way, which one of your supers, basically if you decide to throw a stick or wield it, it's completely up to you. I usually prefer to throw it because it's fast, I'm not stuck in my super, and it also sticks to the boss and deals damage around the boss. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that if you will try this, it will bring you a joy and some fun in this game. Yep. And again, if you have some questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And yeah, that's it. See ya, guys. Bye.